This story is based on documented accounts and contains dramatizations. Images and scenes may have been altered for dramatic purposes. A terrifying abduction. 6 possible suspects.
These men know something, and they're not telling us.
And their unbelievable story of creatures from outer space.
Some guy tells me his friend was abducted by aliens. That guy is #1 on my suspect list.
A plot from a Hollywood horror film? This is a real-life story. But is it true?
How many times can you really trick a lie detector?
It's the inspiration for the movie Fire in the Sky and other stories of terror. Behind the Screams. Turkey Springs, Arizona. The Apache Sitgreaves National Forest is 2 million acres of wild, rugged terrain. This enormous area requires constant maintenance, trimming, thinning, and even controlled burns. Logging teams work most of the year to guard against fires and keep these forests flourishing. Seven young loggers working in these woods are heading home after a day of forest thinning. They're at the end of a year-long project. After a long day, the crew keeps quietly to themselves as they head home down the windy road. That's all about to change. Halfway around the bend,
What is that?
one of the men spots something strange. He says he sees a yellow glow through the timber.
What the hell is that?
Maybe it's a fire. We should go check it out.
Hey, let's go. It's getting so bright. What is that?
And as they peer through the trees, they discover the source of the light.
Check that out.
A mysterious object in the sky. To the men, it looks like a ship from outer space.
Come on, Mike. We can drop the jump.
The foreman slows for a closer look. But his best friend and fellow logger, Travis Walton,
Stop the truck.
wants to get even closer.
No! Hey, Travis, where are you going? Travis, get in the truck! Travis, get in the truck! Travis! Travis!
He steps out of the truck and slowly approaches the unidentified flying object. When he suddenly flies to the ground, his fellow loggers think he's been struck by some sort of beam of light. Terrified, the men flee, leaving Travis behind. A quarter mile down the road, the foreman realizes what he's done. He can't abandon his friend. He turns around.
What are you doing?
But back at the clearing, the light in the sky is gone. And so is Travis Walton. 12 miles away, in the tiny town of Heber, Arizona, Under-Sheriff L.C. Ellison's shift is interrupted when the logging foreman and his remaining 6-man team enter the station in a panic.
It blew Travis.
One at a time. Now what happened?
It was a UFO, Sheriff. It was over the trees. It hit Travis with a beam of light. Travis is gone. It blew him back into the woods. We drove the truck around and he's not there.
To Ellison, their supposed alien encounter seems like a tall tale.
Most investigators would think that the logger's stories sound very unlikely. So what does that mean? Does that mean that they imagined it? And if that's the case, were they under the influence?
No. Let me ask you something. Have you been smoking and drinking?
No, sir.
But the loggers are seriously shaken. 3 of them are so scared, they refuse to return to the mountain ridge.
I ain't going out there.
They don't seem like they're intoxicated. They seem terrified.
He's dead.
Gotta get back on the rest.
No.
The sheriff may have considered that these loggers were possibly under the influence, but after he hears their stories and sees the fear in their faces, he dismisses that idea and really wants to get to the bottom of it. What is the truth here?
Okay, well, in that case...
Ellison continues to question them, hoping one of them will slip up and spill the real story.
He's gone, sir.
Okay,
Some guy tells me his friend was abducted by aliens. That guy is number 1 on my suspect list.
It took him, sir.
took him where?
But no matter how many times Under Sheriff Ellison asks them to repeat their story, it always remains the same.
It happened, sir. We saw it.
They believe their friend Travis was abducted by aliens. Ellison follows protocol and calls his superior,
Gillespie.
Navajo County Sheriff Marlon Gillespie,
Good evening, Sheriff Gillespie.
the man responsible for overseeing investigations in this region.
A UFO?
Yes, sir.
And you believe them?
With 20 years on the force, he's seen it all, or so he thinks.
Okay. Copeland and I will meet you there. We're going to leave in a few minutes.
Gillespie and his partner, Deputy Kenneth Copeland, immediately head out to start searching the mountain. If Walton is still out there, stuck in the wilderness, and possibly injured, he could be in serious danger. Sheriff Gillespie and Deputy Copeland arrive at the clearing, where they meet with Under Sheriff Ellison, the foreman, and the 2 other loggers that were willing to return to the site.
Boys, why don't you tell me one more time exactly what happened?
Sheriff, we told you. We saw this big beam of light, and then Walton runs out of the truck, and then before we knew it, he threw him up in the air and he disappeared.
The logger's description is similar to what other UFO witnesses have seen before.
A lot of people out there say there's something to the cliche notion of a flying saucer, the ones we see in old movies. Those who have witnessed UFOs have described seeing bright lights, just like the loggers said that they saw these bright lights coming down.
We thought he's dead. Where is he?
And it was right here.
Yeah, it was somewhere around here. Now he's nowhere to be found.
Well, I gotta tell you, this is the darndest thing because I don't see a thing.
His first thought? One of these men probably did something to Travis Walton.
When you first hear this, the UFO story sounds completely fabricated. Why would Travis Walton try to get under a UFO? Why would the men run? And why would they return to the scene minutes later?
Still, the sheriff doesn't immediately discredit the logger's story. Instead, he and his team begin to search. But at this hour, it's not easy.
When you're searching at night in a remote location, there are several challenges. You have limited manpower, it's dark, and you can't see where you're going. And if you're not careful, you can miss a piece of evidence or destroy it, even worse.
They keep their eyes open for blood, clothing, disturbed soil, anything that might lead them to Travis Walton. Carefully examining the surrounding trees, Gillespie notes that the bark isn't charred, and there are no freshly snapped branches. How could this supposed alien spacecraft have entered the forest canopy without disturbing any of the trees? After 2 long hours, there's still no sign of Travis. Sheriff Gillespie decides to postpone the search until first light. In the meantime, the foreman and Deputy Copeland decide to notify Travis Walton's mother of her son's disappearance. In such a small community, news travels fast. The next morning, a group of volunteers offers to help search the forest for the missing logger. Meanwhile, Gillespie begins his own hunt for the truth. He goes back over his notes from the scene and compares his findings to the logger's story. The pieces just don't fit. There was no evidence to support any kind of abduction.
When the witness's story doesn't add up to the evidence, they're either confused, misinformed, or hiding something.
Gillespie concludes the loggers are hiding something. But why? He quickly comes up with a possible theory. The other men did something to Travis Walton, and they're using the UFO story to cover their tracks. In hopes of finding out why, Sheriff Gillespie decides to take a closer look into Travis's past relationships.
In any disappearance, it's critical to build a profile of the person who's missing. We would talk to the friends, family, and co-workers to find out who likes them, who doesn't like them. We want to find out if anyone wants this person dead, or if they know any secrets that might get them killed.
Travis Walton grew up in Snowflake, Arizona, where he lived his whole life. He spent much of his time with the affable and respected foreman of his logging crew. He's even engaged to marry the foreman's sister. Everything seems normal. But Gillespie wonders if one of the other loggers may know more.
I'd like to have a talk with you down here at the office.
He decides to bring the entire logging crew back in for questioning.
So let's start with who had a problem with Travis?
Nobody.
Come on, boys. You go out drinking, somebody says something you don't like, and you never forget it. So who had a problem with Travis?
I didn't like Travis.
One of the loggers admits he had a serious problem with the missing man, Travis Walton.
Showed up to work late. I thought he did a half-assed job.
All right, well, there's a reason right there to...
For investigators looking at a crime, if they find somebody who hated the victim, that's a possible motive for murder.
He's the new man on the crew, an outsider. On long, grueling workdays,
Damn it, Walton, will you hurry up? What the hell are you talking about?
tempers can flare.
We've been out here all day waiting on you. You gotta be kidding. I cleared that
He
whole
and Walton
section.
could have fought.
I'm tired of it.
With heavy equipment lying around, things can get very serious, very fast.
Well, there's a reason right there to have Travis go missing, isn't it?
That's not what I meant.
Sheriff, nobody...
But he denies any foul play. Despite his ill feelings toward Walton, he says he didn't harm him. And the rest of the loggers back him up. They continue to claim Travis was taken by aliens. Without concrete evidence of foul play, Sheriff Gillespie has no choice. He lets all of the men go, but he's still not buying their alien abduction story.
Miss Kellett, I'm Sheriff Gillespie. Wonder if we could ask you a few questions about Travis?
He and Deputy Copeland decide to question Travis Walton's mother.
A missing person's family member will know the person who disappeared a lot better than an investigator. As a result, they are critical to the investigation. Family members can tell you about the person's relationships, who they hung out with, and who might be after them.
Travis have any enemies? Anybody that might want to see him disappear?
Just stop looking for my son.
Excuse me, ma'am?
It's no use. He's on another planet.
Her response is not what they expected.
And please don't come back here again.
On another planet?
I wonder what planet that might be.
They head back to their car, stunned by the mother's lack of concern for her son.
This definitely seems strange. This is not the reaction you would expect from a mother who has just found out that her son has gone missing. You would expect her to be dramatic and scared, and instead she barely shows any emotion. These are the types of nuances that detectives pay attention to when they're conducting an investigation.
We may be looking at this thing the wrong way.
That's when Deputy Copeland reveals something that he observed on the night Travis disappeared.
I don't know, Sheriff. This whole thing is looking strange to me.
When Copeland and Travis's foreman first visited the mother's home to deliver the news of her son's disappearance,
He's gone.
she had an equally strange response.
Well, that's the way these things happen.
Ma'am, you do understand that your son is missing, correct?
He'll be fine.
Deputy Copeland assumed she was in shock. Now, he's not so sure, and neither is Sheriff Gillespie.
This behavior suggests one of three things. Either she's still in shock, she's in denial, or she's involved with her son's disappearance in some way.
Travis's mother is now on Gillespie's radar, but there's still no evidence. Gillespie hopes that in the coming days, the search party will discover more answers out in the wilderness.
Did you see anything when you were out there that didn't look right?
But as 4 more days pass, the search produces no results.
The more I look at this, none of this makes any sense.
Sheriff Gillespie becomes more and more convinced. Travis Walton was murdered. And someone Gillespie has already questioned is responsible. Between the logger's story and Travis's mother's behavior,
Just stop looking for my son.
Gillespie feels he's being lied to. And in missing persons cases, every second counts. Five days after Walton disappeared,
I'd like to have a meeting down here at my office.
Gillespie asks the loggers back to the station. But this time, he wants to use technology to get the truth. A lie detector. The men agree to take the test to set the record straight. Expert Cy Gilson administers the polygraph.
Did you hurt Travis Walton?
No.
Did someone you know hurt him?
No.
A polygraph machine works by measuring perspiration, respiration, your heart rate, and breathing patterns.
Is Travis Walton's body buried near Turkey Springs?
No.
When you're telling the truth, these come out nice and smooth, and the machine will reflect that. Any deception or attempted deception will be also picked up by the machine.
One by one, the men are each connected to the lie detector.
Did all the men tell the truth about seeing the UFO that night?
Yes. While polygraph expert Cy Gilson analyzes the results.
Did you hurt Travis Walton?
No.
No.
No. No.
Tested them all, Sheriff.
Gilson's findings are shocking. 5 of the loggers passed.
Yes, they did.
They definitely believe they saw a UFO the night Travis disappeared.
A lie detector test, while inadmissible in court, is still a great tool for investigations and very hard to beat. It's highly unlikely that any one of these men could trick the lie detector test. For all 5 of these untrained civilians to do it, it's unheard of.
Within hours, the whole town knows the alien abduction story is real. And while journalists prepare headlines for tomorrow's papers, Sheriff Gillespie sits at his desk, perplexed. Is it possible that the loggers are telling the truth? They all truly believe something from outer space took Travis Walton. Or perhaps there's another explanation. It's possible the loggers are simply mistaken. Maybe they're confused by what they saw in the sky that night.
Reports of UFOs being seen in Arizona are not uncommon. And if you look where Arizona sits on a map, it makes a lot of sense.
Just 150 miles from the Apache Sitgreaves Forest is a major training station for military pilots, the Luke Air Force Base. It's also a testing area for U.S. military stealth planes, prototypes the public has never seen before. Aircraft that civilians often spot during test flights and report as UFOs.
It's possible that the men could have confused a fighter plane from Luke Air Force Base for a UFO, or possibly a weather balloon stuck between trees.
But even if the loggers were confused about what they saw in the woods that night, it still leaves one very important question. Where is Travis Walton?
Sheriff Gillespie.
Then, an anonymous call to Sheriff Gillespie changes everything.
My name is Jean. I'm a collect call operator. I want you to know some information came.
The woman claims she has new information about the supposed alien abduction.
What did you hear?
A call just came in a few minutes ago from Heber, Arizona.
I need to make a collect call for Grant Neff.
And when she asked for the caller's name, he identified himself as Travis Walton.
Travis Walton. You heard him clearly.
Recognizing his name from the news, she says she stayed on just long enough to hear if the recently abducted logger was okay.
I'm hurt bad. You gotta come get me. Some gas station in Heber at a phone booth.
Was this really Travis? Or just some prank call?
In big cases like this, it's common to get prank calls and fake leads, especially one that's got an UFO or alien abduction. That's going to make it harder to sift through real leads and have the investigators on the right track.
Gillespie takes the lead very seriously.
Deputy, I need you to get out to Heber. I've got a sighting of Travis Walton. He might be by a payphone at a gas station.
The sheriff immediately dispatches his deputy to head to the phone booth and bring this man, claiming to be Travis Walton, in for questioning. But when the deputy arrives at the spot where the call was made, Travis is nowhere to be found. It's another dead end, and Sheriff Gillespie wonders if the phone call wasn't just a gag meant to send him and his men running in circles. But Gillespie doesn't have to wonder for long.
Gillespie.
The next day, he receives another shocking phone call.
This is Dwayne Walton.
It's Travis's brother, Dwayne Walton.
You're not gonna believe this.
And he has more shocking news.
What? Travis is back.
After 5 days missing,
When?
Travis is back.
We picked him up a few hours ago at a payphone by a gas station.
He's exhausted and malnourished, but alive. Dwayne tells Gillespie that last night, he and Travis's brother-in-law, Grant Neff, arrived at the phone booth, apparently moments before the deputy.
Travis! Travis! You all right, man? Hey, get him up, get him up, get him up.
They took Travis to Dwayne's home in Glendale, a few hours from Heber, so he could recuperate and receive medical attention. Gillespie tells Travis's brother that he's relieved Travis is home safe and sound, but he's also anxious to speak with the missing logger.
You make sure he doesn't leave the house.
He demands to see Travis immediately.
All right, I'm on my way right now.
But Dwayne says that his brother needs to be seen first by a doctor. Dwayne tells Gillespie that news of Travis's alleged alien abduction reached a group that specializes in UFO-related events, called the Aerial Phenomena Research Organization, or APRO. This organization began its work in 1952, performing scientific field investigations. Many members of the organization hold PhDs in various areas of science, and some teach at respected universities in the United States.
We got a doctor coming. Give him a checkup just to make sure everything's okay.
The APRO has been closely following Travis's case, and when Dwayne confirmed that Travis was finally back, they offered to pay for a full medical exam.
People who claim they've been abducted by aliens have many different stories. And one of those stories is that they've had medical procedures conducted on them, that also devices have been put in their body somewhere. And if he can get a doctor to acknowledge that something has happened to him, then maybe he can add some credibility to this story.
The information gathered from this medical examination could support the work of the APRO.
You can gain a lot of evidence from a medical exam. First, you gather the information from the natural state of the body, whether there's been any trauma, any injuries seen or unseen. Then you gather what the mental state is. Are they traumatized or clear-headed? And lastly, you have the lab tests, whether the person has been under the influence of drugs in the last few days, any sedatives in their system.
I'll be there in a few hours.
Gillespie wants to question Travis as soon as possible.
All right, I'm leaving now.
The sheriff wonders if the medical exam itself will prove or disprove the validity of this so-called alien abduction. Meanwhile, Dr. Joseph Kandel, a general practitioner, arrives to examine Travis.
He hasn't eaten in 5 days.
Dwayne speaks on behalf of his weakened brother.
He's lost 10 pounds.
He claims that Travis has lost 10 pounds since last week, proof that he hasn't eaten since he disappeared.
Travis, please lift up your shirt. You need to check your heart.
But when Dr. Kandel begins his examination, he finds one very strange discrepancy.
Examine your back here.
Dwayne told the doctor that Travis was thrown to the ground when the alien's beam struck him.
Travis!
But when Kandel looks over Travis's body, he finds no bruises. It's unusual. If Travis was actually thrown back forcefully, the impact should have left some visible sign on his skin. But on Travis's arm, there is one peculiar mark. A red spot. It looks like a puncture wound, the kind made when a needle pierces the skin.
This is similar to what other abductees have described finding on their body: freckles, scratches, red marks, and other markings that they hadn't noticed before.
But is it evidence of an alien probe? Or has Travis been under the influence of drugs? Only a lab test can say for sure. Dr. Kandel concludes the exam and sends a sample of Travis's urine and blood to a lab for analysis. Later that evening, Sheriff Gillespie finally arrives at Dwayne's home.
It's good to have you home, Travis.
And after everything that's already transpired, he has no idea what to expect next.
How you feeling, Travis?
Not good, Sheriff.
Travis looks like he's undergone serious trauma.
You ready to talk now?
Finally, face to face with the man himself, Gillespie wants answers.
See up ahead in this bright white light, fill the sky.
There must be a huge sense of relief finally talking to the man that you thought was dead for the last 5 days. But even under the circumstances, the police aren't going to conduct an interview the same way a news reporter would.
Are you hurt?
The investigators are fact-driven. Gillespie has a lot of questions that need answered immediately. First and foremost is, where has Travis been?
I jump out of the car, the guys are yelling and screaming at me to stop, and I should have turned back around, but I kept going and was up underneath this object.
Travis goes back to that first night. He says when he left the truck to get a better view of the mysterious object in the sky, things suddenly went black. Then, he says when he opened his eyes, he was no longer in the woods. He was inside a pure white room, like a featureless capsule, intensely humid. But according to Travis, the room was very real, with a bright light pouring down from above. At first, it looked like a hospital operating room. But then he realized he wasn't alone. A hairless, humanoid creature looked down at him, analyzing his body and face. Travis had no idea what this thing wanted, and he was terrified to find out. People who say they were abducted by aliens usually give similar descriptions for the humanoid creatures. And with so many alleged encounters, UFO enthusiasts have identified what they believe are different alien species.
There are a few alleged alien species that, as legend has it, regularly visit Earth. You have the Greys, which are described as being shorter, a little bit more violent species with large black eyes and hairless bodies. Then you have the Tall Whites, which are a thin, tall, human-like creature with thin, wispy hair and described as having icy cold eyes.
Travis only recalls 2 hours of his 5-day ordeal. And his story is so outrageous, Gillespie doesn't believe him.
I think we should have you come down to the station and take a lie detector test.
To the sheriff's surprise, Travis agrees without hesitation.
It's the honest to God's truth, Sheriff.
His story actually differs from other abductees' stories. They recount tales of being experimented on, traumatized, where Travis's story is missing that element. This makes his story sound more truthful because it's different. But the fact that Travis can't recall these types of details may suggest something else. Abductees have described their ordeal as almost like a time loss, as if their mind has been wiped clean. And Travis can only remember 2 hours of his 5-day ordeal. This just adds to the mystery.
And even though he's willing to submit to this polygraph test, Travis does have one condition.
Nobody can know.
He knows about the media frenzy surrounding his disappearance. He'll do the test, but it must be kept secret.
This type of media circus must have been really hard on Travis. He's already been through such a traumatic experience, and he really doesn't want any more attention. He knows this is a controversial topic, and so he really just wants to keep his privacy.
Gillespie schedules Travis Walton's polygraph test for Friday morning, just 3 days away. He calls in the same polygraph examiner who tested the other loggers, Cy Gilson. But when Friday comes, Travis doesn't show up.
Gillespie.
And just when the sheriff begins to suspect Travis may be too afraid to take the test, he gets a call from Travis's brother, Dwayne.
Where's your brother? He's late.
Look outside. There's reporters everywhere.
Apparently, the news of Travis's polygraph test somehow leaked to the press.
Did you do this?
I didn't say anything.
Gillespie insists that Travis should come in and prove he's telling the truth.
We had an agreement. Where's your brother?
But it's no use.
That's it, man. We're not doing the polygraph.
Over the next week, news of Travis's return from outer space spreads around the world. Articles appear in everything from the White Mountain Independent to the National Enquirer. But Sheriff Gillespie still isn't sure what to believe. The search effort cost his county a small fortune. The missing persons case might be solved, but Sheriff Gillespie isn't satisfied. He wants the truth.
Walton's lab results.
He hopes Travis's lab results will provide a clear answer for what really happened. At first, the lab results support Travis's story. His blood and urine samples showed no signs of recent drug use. But reading further, Gillespie sees something alarming. Travis's urine sample also shows no sign of acetone.
If you don't eat for a few days, your body starts to burn fat as its primary fuel source. The byproduct of this process is acetone, which you excrete through your urine.
These findings contradict Travis's story. Apparently, he had eaten in the past 5 days. His urine test proves it.
On one hand, Travis is severely traumatized. His friends also truly believe that they saw a UFO. But the story isn't adding up. Did Travis lie about not eating? Or was he unaware that he ate? This goes back to the idea that Travis doesn't remember all the details of his experience for those 5 days that he was missing. Could he have been given some sort of sustenance that he doesn't remember? It might be something that we don't even understand that caused his test to show no acetone when he felt that he hadn't eaten for 5 days.
Now, Gillespie questions Travis's entire story.
Get away!
If the abduction never happened, Travis could be liable for the thousands of dollars the county spent searching for him. Or worse, he could face jail time. Travis Walton has no choice. If he wants to clear his name, he must take a polygraph test. 3 months after his alleged abduction, Travis Walton finally grows tired of the public scrutiny. Unknown to Sheriff Gillespie, he decides he'll take a polygraph in hopes of proving once and for all that he was in fact captured by aliens.
Yes.
The APRO, the same UFO sighting group that funded his initial medical exam, sets up the test and hires polygraph examiner George Pfeiffer.
Although we don't know exactly why the APRO helped fund Travis's polygraph test, we can guess they did this because the more evidence they can gather to help support their belief can only advance their cause.
A lot is at stake for Travis. He's stuck to his story for months now, and a failed test will basically ostracize him from the community. He'll look like a liar in front of the entire world. And worse, he might even face criminal investigation.
Pfeiffer questions Travis about the details of his alleged abduction. Then he digs even deeper. He asks Travis if he conspired to perpetrate a hoax.
No.
A polygraph test is only as good as its operator, but depending on the source, they're 70 to 90% accurate.
Travis's mother and his brother Dwayne also participate in the test. Their reputations are also tied to Travis's abduction story. If he wasn't truly taken by aliens, the public and the authorities would probably assume they helped him hide out the entire time he was reported missing. When the APRO publishes the results of this final polygraph exam, it shows Travis Walton and his family are telling the truth. Travis really believes he was abducted by aliens. He and his family did not perpetrate a hoax.
This has to be a big relief for Travis and his family. Not only did he have to experience that traumatic event, but his family had to go through the emotions of worrying about him for 5 days when he was missing. And also, when he comes back and tells his story, nobody believes him. So it must feel wonderful to finally have some proof of what he was saying was true.
Now, for Sheriff Gillespie, the case is closed. He and his men must move on to more pressing police matters. Travis's truthful polygraph results may be the only proof he'll ever get. But for journalists, the story still isn't over.
The media seems to report on UFOs more than any type of paranormal phenomena. This may be because of our fascination with the possibility of life forms living on other planets and trying to visit us, trying to communicate with us, trying to reach Earth. And there's passionate debates on whether aliens actually exist or they do not.
Philip J. Klass, a headstrong and uncompromising aviation writer and renowned UFO debunker, decides to begin his own investigation. His goal, to determine once and for all what really happened that night out in the woods.
My name is Philip Klass. I'm a journalist.
Klass's research is exhaustive. He contacts everyone involved in the case. The police, the loggers, the Walton family, even the polygraph examiners.
He is doing what the police don't have time to do. He is gathering all possible information on Travis Walton, not for a criminal investigation, but for the truth.
Then, A month into his investigation, while speaking with an executive at an Arizona polygraph firm about best testing practices, the call quickly turns. The man says he's familiar with the Travis Walton alien abduction case, and he's heard an alarming rumor. 3 days after Travis returned from his alleged abduction, he took a different polygraph test that was kept a secret. It was paid for by the National Enquirer, and the results were never released to the public.
My name is Philip Klass. I'm a journalist. I'm doing a story on the Travis Walton case.
How can I help you?
The man who administered the test is a renowned polygraph expert.
I understand you did a polygraph test on him.
That is correct. I did do that.
First, Klass confirms the polygraph expert's involvement. Then, he asks him why the results were never released.
He failed the test.
According to him, Travis Walton's alien abduction was a hoax. He'd never set foot on any spacecraft. Now, armed with the secret test results, Philip Klass feels confident he has everything he needs to finish his report and expose the truth. But Travis isn't the only subject of his report. According to Klass, the logging foreman's contract with the National Forest Service gave him a motive to fabricate an alien abduction story. When Travis was supposedly abducted,
We're losing daylight!
the foreman was already seriously behind on his Turkey Springs forest thinning project. In fact, he was just about to miss his deadline to complete it, a move that could have cost him thousands of dollars. Klass concludes the foreman's only way out of the mess was if something forced them to quit the job. A flash flood, a landslide, or something even more extreme.
Sheriff, there's a UFO!
An alien abduction, and a team of loggers too scared to return to work. The Waltons and the logging crew publicly denounced Klass's findings. They said Travis only failed the original polygraph because he was emotionally distressed when he took the test. According to Travis, the results were invalid, but for many, Travis Walton was already guilty of lying.
Trying to get people to accept your story on a topic that most people don't believe in can feel like an uphill battle. It can be very stressful and feel like no one believes you.
Still, the debate over Travis's abduction continues to this day, and even under heavy scrutiny, Walton, his family, and the other loggers have never changed their story.
Did all the men tell the truth about seeing the UFO that night?
Yes.
If this is a hoax, it's unusual to defend the story for this long, especially for a group of loggers who've already received so much flack from the media and the community.
In the years following the release of UFO debunker Philip Klass's report, his findings proved to have significant flaws. For one, the foreman did not use the alleged abduction as an excuse for missing his forest clearing deadline. And nearly 20 years later, Travis Walton and his fellow loggers took another lie detector test, and they passed again. For people who believe in UFOs, Travis's latest polygraph test is more proof of life beyond Earth. His personal story is part of a long history of alien-related phenomena in the American Southwest.
It all sounds so unreal. A light in the sky, an unidentified object, but there's been numerous reports of sightings that are hard to dismiss, especially in this region.
One of the most famous incidents occurred 30 years before Travis's encounter, in Roswell, New Mexico, 400 miles away from Heber. According to legend, an alien spacecraft crash-landed at a local ranch. And while the military reported the incident as a fallen weather balloon, many questioned their story. And almost 70 years later, the debate between UFO enthusiasts and the government continues.
No one's sure why the Southwest is a hotspot for seeing UFOs. Some believe it's because of the rural landscape. There's less light pollution, so it's easier to see lights in the sky. You can see the stars better at night, and maybe that increases your chances of seeing something unusual. But not everybody buys into that explanation. Some people feel it has more to do with a government facility just a few hundred miles away that has been hidden for more than 70 years, called Area 51.
Area 51 is a top-secret Air Force facility, accessible only to government agents with high security clearance. Some believe it's a testing center for alien technology. It's a conspiracy theory, but with so many alleged UFO sightings, many people wonder if the rumors are true.
The line between fact and fiction is often a blurry one. What's proof to one person means nothing to somebody else. So do UFOs and aliens exist? I don't know, it depends on who you ask. Both sides have proof.
With so much evidence for believers and skeptics, Travis Walton's alien abduction will forever remain a mystery.
Do you believe you saw an object to be a UFO?
Yes.
But the logger continued to plead his case. 2 years after his harrowing ordeal, he wrote The Walton Experience, a book detailing his extraterrestrial encounter. And years later, his work became the film Fire in the Sky, one of the most well-known alien horror films to date.
This is a story that will be debated for years to come, until someone can find hard proof that aliens exist.
Regardless of the truth behind the Walton case, the chances of life outside of Earth are just too large to ignore. And one day we may be contacted. And some believe that it's not a matter of if, but when.
Since Travis Walton's alleged abduction, Arizona residents continue looking to the skies, reporting hundreds of UFO sightings in the last 40 years.
600 years ago, we believed that the Earth was the center of the universe. We now not only know that that was false, but that also, for every grain of sand, there are 10,000 stars in the universe. Regardless of what you believe, it's hard to deny the possibility of life beyond our planet. Although perfect evidence doesn't exist now, the universe is vast, and the possibilities are endless.
Over decades, countless alleged UFOs have been captured on camera, keeping the world guessing. Are we truly alone? What lies beyond our planet? Will we ever make contact with beings from another world? Or has it already happened? In 1997, one of the world's most infamous UFO sightings occurred over the city of Phoenix, Arizona. Seen by thousands, the event became known as the Phoenix Lights. Witnesses estimated the object's length was several football fields. Many still wonder what they saw that night, just as many still wonder about the case of Travis Walton. A terrifying abduction, 6 men suspected of murder, and a story so out of this world, we may never know the truth.
It's hard for people to even understand what's going on with these supernatural events. You really can't put your finger on it. But deep down, it's something that you just feel in your soul.
These things shouldn't be real, but they are. It's the true story of Travis Walton, Behind the Screams.